Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Things I Can't Explain. My name is Casey, and I am so excited that you guys are here. If you're watching this video right here on YouTube, you can also listen to the podcast over on Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Amazon Music. And if you do enjoy my content, I would super appreciate it if you would subscribe to my channel and also follow me on my social media, which I will be linking in the description box on this video. Tonight, we have our special guest co-host, Oliver, who is somewhere down here and might make a surprise appearance. We have our cozy vibes going. It's so freezing and windy outside, and I feel like this is the perfect night to talk about some scary stories. And tonight's episode is something that has genuinely freaked me out my entire life, and that is Ouija boards. Now, I feel like Ouija boards are something that have terrified people for generations. So tonight we are going to be reading true stories from people that have had terrifying experiences with Ouija boards. Now, before we get into the stories, I want to talk about why Ouija boards make people feel so uncomfortable, even people who don't necessarily believe in the paranormal. And that's because the fear around them didn't come from nowhere. What a lot of people don't realize is that Ouija boards were not originally created as a game. They came from the spiritual movement in the 1800s, where people were taking seances very seriously. They were gathering in dark rooms, they were trying to communicate with the dead, and it was meant to be used as a tool, not a toy. Eventually, over time, obviously, the Ouija boards were then marketed as a toy, and people were just thinking it was a silly game. They were having fun with them at sleepovers. But what people fail to realize is that Ouija boards are not like a telephone where you're calling up the dead. They're actually more like a door. And once a door is opened, you don't always get to choose who or what is coming through. One of the reasons people believe Ouija boards are so dangerous is because there's obviously no way to verify who you're communicating with. And a lot of times people believe that these spirits or entities or even demons are mimicking the people that you're trying to contact, like a loved one that has passed, or sometimes they are pretending to be a child or just a friendly spirit. So as we get into these stories, I want you to notice how often people really start out thinking it's just a game, but typically they do not end feeling that way. So let's get into our first story. This one is called Ouija Gone Wrong. I wanted to share a paranormal story, not something that happened to me directly, but to my ex-wife. When she was about 17 years old, she and her friends started playing with a Ouija board, as many curious and reckless teenagers do. At first, they asked silly, trivial questions, and to their surprise, the board would respond with accurate answers. Then, they moved on to asking about boys they liked, crushes, relationships, typical teenage stuff. After a few nights, they started to ask deeper, more unsettling questions. They asked who or what they were talking to. Sometimes the board would say something like, "I am a woman who lived in the 1850s. Other times, it claimed to be a 13-year-old boy who died in the 1970s. The answers were inconsistent, but oddly, it always felt like the same presence. Eventually, they asked why the identity kept changing, and the board spelled out, "I am whoever I want to be. Today, I can be an old man, tomorrow, a child." At that point, they started to feel seriously uneasy, like they were no longer dealing with something innocent or random. It implied something powerful, maybe even evil. One night, they asked, "How do you take people?" And the board answered, "By choking them." Sometime shortly after, my ex-wife came home one evening to find that her parents and younger brother had gone out to a party and wouldn't be home for a few hours. She didn't want to be alone in her room where the Ouija board was, so she stayed in her parents' bedroom instead, waiting for them to return. She turned on all the lights in the house. This was the early 90s, so no cell phones. She lay on the bed watching TV, trying to distract herself. After a while, she noticed a hallway light turning off by itself. That had never happened in her house before. She was terrified, but got up and turned it back on. As soon as she lay back down, it turned off again. Her mom kept a Bible in the nightstand, so she grabbed it, opened to a random page, and began reading out loud. Suddenly, she felt overwhelmingly tired, so much so that she could barely keep her eyes open. She tried to fight it. She turned the TV volume up, kept reading, but eventually dozed off. She woke up minutes later to find the Bible no longer in her hands, but beside her. She grabbed it again and kept reading. I always asked her why she didn't just run outside, but she said she was too scared to leave the room, to run down that dark hallway. Eventually, she fell asleep again, only to wake up to a terrifying sensation. Something was grabbing her ankles. She felt it moving slowly up her legs, over her shins, her thighs, her waist, until it reached her throat, and then it began choking her. The lights were still on, but there was nothing visible in front of her. She said she started kicking, gasping, struggling. Then she remembered her mom also kept a crucifix in the nightstand. She wrestled her way to the drawer, found it, clutched it to her chest, and started praying. Please, God, help me. I swear I'll never play with that thing again. And then, whatever was choking her suddenly let go. She ran out of the house and waited by the curb until her parents came home. When she told them what happened, they dismissed it as a nightmare. Still, she was so shaken she refused to sleep alone and spent the night in her parents' bed. The next day, exhausted from lack of sleep, she tried to nap in her room around 2 or 3 in the afternoon. Not long after lying down, she felt something tugging at the foot of her blanket. She assumed it was her dog until it persisted. When she looked up, she saw what she can only describe as a boy around 8 to 10 years old, but no taller than 18 inches. He had a child's face, but his body was small, proportioned like an adult in miniature. He stood at the foot of her bed just staring. No smile, no expression. His dark hair was neatly combed to the side. He wore a one-piece garment, almost like a toga. She was so shocked she couldn't scream. Then, after a few seconds, the small figure walked into her closet. She bolted from the room and ran to her parents. Again, they didn't believe her. Her dad checked the closet. Nothing. That night, while trying to sleep, the closet door slowly opened. Just a few inches. Nothing came out, but it moved. The following day, one of the girls she had played the Ouija board with came over. She wanted to ask the board something about her boyfriend, suspecting he was cheating. My ex told her, "No, something really bad happened. I don't want it here anymore. Please take it." But the friend begged, just one more time. They sat down, placed their hands on the planchette, and before they could even ask a question, the board began spelling out my ex's name. "Pamela, remember your promise to God. Don't break it, because next time I'll take you." That was the last straw. She threw the board away. Years later, when I first met her, she still lived in that house. For years, she refused to watch horror movies or even hear the word Ouija, and for a long time, we slept with a lamp on, just in case. After she got rid of the board, nothing else ever happened, but the fear stayed with her. I genuinely cannot imagine experiencing something like that. That is really scary. That is really intense. Honestly, don't know how you ever fully recover from something like that. That story, that was really crazy. Okay, this one doesn't have a title. So, This first and only time I ever used one, I was a teenager playing on it with a friend on my back porch. I didn't know of anyone who had died really, except I remembered from an old photo on the wall a great aunt called Neil. The name Neil stuck with me because it was a boy's name. So I try to talk to Great Aunt Neil, but when I speak, I say, without hesitation or control, Aunt Connie. I thought, that's weird. I don't have an Aunt Connie. I try again and say, I'm trying to speak with, and mentally saying the word Neil, Aunt Connie. It was an involuntary response. Very weird, but we moved on and kept playing. When my mom got home from running errands, she asked how our game was going, and I replied, it's fine, except I kept trying to talk to Great Aunt Neil, but kept saying Connie, which is so weird because I don't have an Aunt Connie. I still remember my mom's face in that moment. It turns out I did have an Aunt Connie. She was a baby who died of SIDS decades before I was born. My mom almost named me after her. I went on to have extreme paranormal experiences that continue to this day, actually. I think it opened a door that I haven't been able to close. Then the person that originally wrote that story came back to do an edit because they felt like they had something even scarier happen to them. And they said the scariest things that have ever happened to me were from when I was a moody 15 to 18-year-old girl. That seemed to really energize my surroundings, and lots of scary things happened. I saw people, heard my name whispered in my ear at night multiple times, heard footsteps daily, and heard a voice mimic my father's and walk around the kitchen. That one convinced me that we were broken into, and I stayed outside until my boyfriend came to get me. Of course, nobody there. My brother moved back into the family house after college and confirmed he also heard a voice mimic our father's and walk around the kitchen. He didn't offer this info. I had to pull it out of him over dinner years later. We independently experienced this and didn't know it. In college, I saw a girl standing over my roommate's bed in the middle of the night. I woke up the next day and was like, hey, who was that? Roomie was like, oh, hell no. She and I still talk about it today. We were on a sorority hall at the time, so I dismissed it initially. It only hit me later that I didn't recognize her or see her legs. The other weirdest thing in college was when someone kept getting into bed next to me. Never touched me, but the mattress went down with their weight. That one spooked me. That one was pretty crazy and pretty scary. And I'm assuming that that person added in scarier experiences, saying that, like, after they used the Ouija board, like, these other terrifying things happened to them. I think the craziest part of that story is that they kept involuntarily saying the name Connie, and not so much because they didn't know that they had an Aunt Connie, but because it makes me feel like something was trying to control or possess them to say that name to be able to get to talk to them. And that really freaks me out. Okay, we're going to do one more story. And again, this one doesn't have a title, but it's on the same thread of the other Ouija board story that I just read. This happened in college, mid 80s. Best friend, who was not yet then my roommate, and I got to playing around with a homemade Ouija. Dee and I made it out of basic notebook paper. Broke college days, such fun. We got in touch with two spirits who claimed to be from World War II, Jonathan and Wade. Being the dumb college kids we were, we begged them to send us a sign. They didn't want to, said it would cost a lot of energy and might open a door to other less good spirits. No, no, we said, send us a sign. We log off, go to sleep, wake up, go out, run errands, return to dorm room, message light is blinking on now antique answering machine. Scroll through, one message in the middle is, Wade loves Katie. We knew no Wades. No one in Dee's family and my family is named Wade. We had no friends, professors, fellow students named Wade. And so we proceeded to freak right out, replayed it, kept freaking out, oh my God, this must be their sign. Then had the bright idea to bring over our best male buddy and let him hear it. He lived across the way in the boys' dorms. Dee and I run downstairs. We run back upstairs. Message lights still blinking. We go to play the messages, and that particular message in the middle is gone. Never came back. Cue more freaking out. Dee and I kept doing it, but I noticed my hands going cold all the way up to my elbows. I felt drained, no energy. Then, one weekend, my roommate went home. I went out, returned home around dusk, walked in, and the dorm was freezing cold. In May, in the deep south, I walked in and saw at the window a giant hand that knocked 3 times through the glass. We lived on the 3rd floor. I took one giant step back, said nothing, thought nothing, turned off the light, locked the door, ran down to Dee's dorm room. Cue more freaking out. I told Dee I'm spending the night here even if I have to sleep on the floor. We relaxed, then I suddenly realized, crap, I need my contact solution and clothes. We have to go back. Dee said give it an hour or 2 more, so we did. Went back in, room was completely normal. No heaviness, no freezing temps. Dee and I ripped up the homemade Ouija board, clipped the straw planchette into pieces, never did it again. I think for me, some of the most interesting things about these stories is the entities or things that these people saw. It's really creepy and it's really scary to me how so many different things can happen to you in so many different ways. You genuinely never know what experience you're going to have with a Ouija board, but I would say the one thing that you can count on is it's not going to be good and it's most likely not going to be fun. And you can honestly be setting yourself up for lifelong trouble and misery. Let me know what you guys think. If you have ever had any type of experience with a Ouija board, good or bad or unexplainable, I would love to hear your stories. You can DM me directly on my Instagram, which, like I said in the beginning, will be linked in the description box. You can also send me stories that are unrelated to Ouija boards, any type of unexplainable experience, whether it be with the supernatural or with people that walk among us. I would love to be able to read your stories on future podcast episodes. But for now, that is it for this episode. I appreciate you guys tuning in so much, and I will see you in the next episode.